It's a hole. It'll never be like a biological woman's beautiful gift from the universe, just a copycat version. Well, thanks for pointing that out, Daisy Faye, but it's not just a hole. She's doing the best that she can to function like any other Chuchi. Exactly. It'll never be the same. Just a copycat version. Yeah, I agree. It'll never be the same. I mean, I'm just doing the best I can do with what I've got because I wasn't born with that luxury, you know? I wish I just had one. But if I didn't do what I did, then I would be like, you know? Oh, Daisy Faye, you're funny. You're funny.
Hi, my name is Benny, and this is my first day on estrogen. That's it. Here comes the boobies.
Hey, Red, you got any zingers for the crowd? No? How about you, Nelly?
Yeah, I got one. You're a fat fuck.
So when I came out, I did this thing where I went around and I talked to all the people that I felt were important to me before I started transition. And I went to this girl that I always used to make out with during all the parties in college. And I was like, so I'm really nervous about this, but I'm a trans woman and I'm starting transition. And she's like, funny story, because I was nervous to tell you that I'm a lesbian.
So I started my transition around 7 years ago, but I've only been surgically transitioning for the past 2 and a little bit years. So I started off by having my sex reassignment surgery, which is the big one down there. I then had a vocal surgery called a cricothyroid approximation, which then also involved having my Adam's apple removed. I then had my breast augmentation. And then following that, because I wasn't quite happy with the results of my voice, I then had a glottoplasty, which is the more invasive type of vocal surgery. And then I had a revision of my sex reassignment surgery. A couple of things weren't quite right, so I had to have them fixed, but totally fine now, absolutely love it. And that's it. I haven't done anything to my face or the rest of my body.
More Republican congressmen have been arrested for sex crimes in public bathrooms than trans people. You may have heard this before, but let's delve into the specifics. In 1981, Mississippi Congressman John Hinson was arrested in the Library of Congress for performing oral sex on another man in a public bathroom. In 2007, Senator Larry Craig from Idaho was arrested in an airport bathroom for trying to have sex with a prostitute in there. Also in 2007, Florida Representative Bob Allen was arrested in a public park bathroom for attempting to have sex with a male prostitute there. This means that in total, 3 Republican congressmen have committed sex crimes in a public bathroom. But all researchers agree there have been 0 crimes committed by trans people in public restrooms.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Daily Dose. So today with Stubble, I thought why not go a little bit more into laser hair removal, since unfortunately being on anti-androgens and estrogen doesn't do enough to remove your facial hair growth, so a lot of trans women elect to either go through laser hair removal or even do electrolysis. And I have my consult tomorrow, which means for a couple days beforehand, they need to be able to see just how dark the hair they're working with is. So unfortunately, you need to spend a few days growing that stubble out, which is leading to a few more days of dysphoria for me, which is not very fun. Don't recommend it. But a lot of people tend to like to go through this later on in their transition process, but I found a great deal for New Year, so I thought, why not check it out now? Also, shout out to Olivia for sending me a wig off my Amazon wishlist. That was so sweet, and I will be showing it off in a few days after I don't have the stubble. Anyways, here's dose number 10.
Okay, let's talk about buttons. But not this type of cute little button, which is pretty cool and I should make a video about. Let's instead talk about the button. Now there's this thought experiment that everyone who's questioning usually comes across, and there are actually a few different variations that I'll try to cover, but let's talk about the button question. So imagine, if you will, that there's a button, and that if you press the button, you will immediately be able to change the sex of your body. And the question is would you press this button? How long would it take you to press this button? And what would you pay to press this button? And these are some of the things that you might struggle with initially. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of people may consider pressing the button and never want to do it, but the next question is why they don't want to do it. And it's probably worth mentioning to all the people who are questioning out there that there are indeed many, if not a large majority of the population, who would see this button and understand it and never consider pressing it at all. And so if you do think you might press it, that probably means that you want to talk to someone and you want to continue to explore your gender.
Hi everyone, here is the TikTok about the recent surgery that I had. So the surgery that I had was a tracheal shave. So what they do is they make an incision and they go down to cut off the cartilage of the Adam's apple, also known as the tracheal. And I got the surgery because anyone can grow an Adam's apple, but I'm a trans woman and I had a little one that grew and was noticeable enough for my dysphoria to drive me mad, and it made me hella insecure, and I just hated it so much, so I needed to get this surgery. The reason why I was awake during surgery was because it was more than double the price to be put to sleep, so I just decided to do it on local, and what it felt like was someone using their two thumbs and pushing it against my neck to try and kill me. It sounds really bad, but to be honest, I felt worse. So I did that, and the pain was probably 3 out of 10, but I'll explain more in a YouTube video very soon.
I'm really glad that more people are finding out about this book, Memoirs of a Man's Maiden Years, the memoir of the first trans person to ever have documented gender-affirming surgery. Carl Bayer, the subject of this book, who wrote the book about his life, published this in 1907, and we didn't know much about what happened to Carl after the book was published, when he died in the mid-50s. But a historian went back and documented Carl's life through that time period, and that is included in the afterword of this book. Unfortunately, this is also the kind of historian who would have said that Sappho just had a lot of girls that she liked to spend time with. They were just friends. They were just friends. So, this historian wrote lots of inaccurate, impolite, and frankly just rude things about Carl in this afterword, and disrespects him throughout, and uses the incorrect name and incorrect pronouns to talk about Carl throughout the afterword of this book. And I say this as a warning, and also because we maybe have the opportunity to fix it. Let's go to my desk and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we wanted to reprint this book, how would we do that? Well, we'd have to find out who owns the copyright for the English version of this book. And that would be the University of Pennsylvania Press, because this book was translated by the University of Pennsylvania. Now, they have a form that you can fill out to reprint any works that they own. They don't guarantee that they'll approve it, but you can ask. Now, they ask for a lot of information here, and it's all been provided. And they ask for an addressed and stamped envelope. Please forgive the sticky notes covering up all my personal information, and more details about which book exactly I'm talking about. This is going in the mail today. And if it gets approved, we'll be able to publish this book using a small publisher, and I'll pay for it to be self-published. And we'll solicit feedback and ask for people to provide a new afterword and a new foreword for this book. And if you would like to follow along, please follow my content. Please share it, like, comment. I would like to see this get a little bit of traction, because I think this is really important, and it's a critical part of queer history, and I'd like to see it preserved, if at all possible. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I hope that this goes well for us.